Hello, Brampton South. This is Ted Harlson. It's November 1st, and I want to show you some ancient Greek philosophers, namely Socrates. If you know the story, you know Socrates was accused by the status quo of his day for corrupting the youth. And in his defense, in the Apology, which is Plato's writing about Socrates, he begins, "How you, O Athenians, have been affected by my accusers, I cannot tell, but I do know that they almost made me forget who I was, so persuasively did they speak. And yet they have hardly uttered a word of truth. Of the many falsehoods told by them, by his accusers, there's one which quite amazed me. Be upon your guard and not allow yourselves to be deceived by the force of my eloquence. By the force of eloquence, they mean the force of truth." Okay, so he was accused on trial of corrupting the youth of Athens. He was merely, though, just questioning the wisdom of the status quo and the learned. If you've read the story, you know Socrates was found guilty by the majority, and they sentenced him to drink poisonous hemlock to die. So what did Socrates learn in all his questioning? One would say in his time X was true, another would say Y was true, and another would come along and say, no, R is true, B is true, F was true. So they argued endlessly in all their sophistry, opinions, and even skepticism. Socrates was responsible for bringing a certain order out of all the arguments and debates by how? What was his method? What did he identify that made him famous? So famous as to be remembered in books even today. Well, he brought clarification of what a concept was composed of, its ideahood, its main characteristic, its essence. Take, for example, this book. What is the essence of a book? Is not the essence of a book to contain in expressed written form ideas itself, knowledge, to be written and passed on and read by others? What of a cup? It's different from a book. What's the essence of a cup if not its material and its shape to hold liquids or other things for our enjoyment and benefit? Some have handled, some have not, which is not the essence of a cup. But its shape to hold liquids mainly for our gratification. What about breadness? That's the essence of bread. Its breadness, its texture, its softness, its eatability to fulfill our hunger. What about justice? That's a higher level concept that can't be seen. What does justice mean? What is its essence? Is it not passing judgment on men according to their own ideas and their own actions? Now let's bring this up, this idea of essence, over the argument over COVID-19. Who is right? Who's to say? What of all the sophistry you hear online about the arguments of COVID-19? Who is right? Shall we not remember and learn from Socrates the lessons of essence? Can you find and see the evidence of a pandemic? No. Are death rates steadily climbing into the millions, as with the Spanish flu? No. Hospitals and funeral homes are merely normal, in fact empty. The hospitals are empty. The only visible essence is the use of force against the activity of small business, trade, or businessmen and women, and consumers. Sophistry about COVID-19 is void of essence with government. They use instead force to replace discussion. And private organizations like Google and Facebook comply. They delete and end all discussion. And those today, like Socrates, who question the wisdom of this political panic, Why wish them dead, according to today's majority? Why demand their death, according to majority wisdom? I suspect if Socrates were alive today, he'd throw away the hemlock and finally admit he was wiser after all.